Assalamu alaikum. So yesterday I went over 3 indicators to help determine when the stock market is bottoming out. In this video, I'll go over 3 indicators that I like to look at to help me ascertain whether or not Bitcoin is at or close to bottom, and by extension, whether or not cryptocurrencies in general are at those levels. Since the start of the year, Bitcoin is down close to 60%, and compared to its highs in November of last year, it's down close to 70%. So, are we at the bottom yet? ARK Invest, in their June monthly report for Bitcoin, had a pretty compelling graphic wherein they show that the price of Bitcoin is now below its realized price, that is the price that on average people bought it at. It's below the short-term holders' realized price, the long-term holders' realized price, and it's below its 200-week moving average. Now, what makes this extremely abnormal is that this has only happened 4 times in Bitcoin's history, and typically when this has happened, it has signified a bottom for Bitcoin's price. So you can see that it reached this level that is below these cost bases and below the 200-week moving average in March of 2020 at the height of the coronavirus scare. It reached near those levels in the first quarter of 2019 at the bottom of that particular cycle in the third quarter, and towards the beginning of 2015, it broke these levels as well. So only 4 times in Bitcoin's entire history has Bitcoin's price traded below these cost bases and the 200-week moving average. And in these instances, it has marked the bottom of Bitcoin's drop. Now, it's important to remember that history doesn't necessarily repeat itself, but it does have a habit of rhyming. So this is the first indicator that I like to look at. Before I go to the second indicator, if you're interested in following our halal portfolios that we put together, consider becoming a member. You also get access to privileged content, our PIF watch list, and member chat, in addition to live sessions with yours truly on weekdays. So consider becoming a member, link in the description of this video. The second indicator that I like to look at to help me ascertain how close we are to the bottom of Bitcoin's downward price movement is the relative strength index. And this is basically a measure of momentum, and it tells us how does the current price movement for Bitcoin compare in terms of the magnitude of its movement and the speed of which this movement occurred. How does this compare with the previous 12 months of price movement for this particular asset? And looking at the relative strength indicator for Bitcoin, it offers a compelling visual wherein we can see that for the month that we just got out of, June of 2022, we had the lowest RSI reading for Bitcoin ever. It's never been this low, and previously the RSI has been a good indicator for when the market has reached a local bottom. So you can see the RSI dip in March of 2020 and again in the beginning of 2019. And these periods corresponded with local bottoms in Bitcoin's price. By the way, if you are enjoying this video, I'd really appreciate if you left a like and subscribe so you can see more videos like this. The third indicator that I like to look at is also mentioned in ARK's monthly report, and that is the comparison between the market value to realized value of long-term and short-term holders. Long-term holders in Bitcoin are holders who have held their particular holdings of Bitcoin for at least 155 days. And the reason why they chose the 155-day cutoff is because they found, just from observation, that when particular holdings of Bitcoin are held for at least 155 days, chances are it's not going to be moved anytime soon. So they chose that cutoff to distinguish between long-term and short-term holders. And when you compare long-term holders to short-term holders, the market value to realized value is typically higher for long-term holders, and that's logical because the price of Bitcoin is generally trending upwards. However, near the market bottom, historically, we've found that the MVRV ratio for short-term holders becomes better than this ratio is for long-term holders. And we actually haven't reached a point where this is true yet. So perhaps there is still more downward movement ahead of us. So you can see on the chart that ARK provided, the green is the long-term holders MVRV ratio, and the red is the short-term holders MVRV ratio, and still the green is above the red. And when we've reached market bottoms before, for example, in the first half of 2019, the green line actually dipped below the red line, and it did so again between 2015 and 2016. And again, this happened at the end of 2011, the first half of 2012. So we're not there yet. And that may suggest to some that there is still some downward movement ahead of us. However, this is not a perfect indicator, as is evidenced by the fact that if you go to March of 2020, this was not the case. The green line did not dip below the red line. So it's important to keep in mind that these indicators, while useful, are not guarantees. They give you a ballpark estimate of where we are, but they don't give you any precision. So keep that in mind when you are using these indicators. Again, if you'd like to follow my investments, gain access to privileged content, including live sessions on days the markets are open, consider becoming a member. Link to do so is in the description. Leave a like and subscribe. Until next time, make sure to take care of yourself. Assalamu alaikum and peace be upon you all.